Hello, my friends. Ciao amici miei. My name is David Quammen, and I'm coming to you from Montana today by video. I wish I could be with you in Luino live in early October for your event, but of course, we all know that COVID has changed things, including the ability to travel. I'm going to talk to you about COVID, but first I want to say a very, very deep thanks to the World Environmental Education Congress for choosing to award me your Earth Prize International for 2020. I am deeply honored and grateful for this prize, and I salute the work that you do, the very important work. I'm going to talk to you today about COVID-19, but about more than COVID-19. I want to talk about the context of this pandemic. I want to talk about the generalized causes. I want to talk about the pattern of which this awful event is a part. And I will emphasize that we should remember that the COVID-19 pandemic is not a one-off event. It is not a unique catastrophe that is happening to us humans. It is part of a pattern, and that pattern reflects things that we are doing. I'm going to approach this in a very straightforward way by beginning with the definitions of four words, four somewhat unfamiliar words. The first of those is zoonosis. Zoonosis. At the beginning of my book Spillover, which was published in English in 2012, in Italian in 2014, I mention the word zoonosis, and I call it a word of the future, a word destined for heavy use in the 21st century. Well, I was right about that little prediction. We are now in the midst of a great zoonosis event. So how do we define zoonosis? Zoonosis is simply an animal infection that is transmissible to humans. Some sort of an infection-causing pathogen. It might be a virus, but it could also be a bacterium, a fungus, or some other kind of microbe that infects people. If it comes from an animal and passes into humans and causes disease, we call that a zoonotic disease. Now, this is not some obscure corner of medical arcana. This is a central phenomenon. 60% of the infectious diseases known among humans, in the strict sense, belong in this category, zoonotic diseases. And the other 40% fit within this category in a broader sense because everything comes from somewhere, and we're a relatively young species. Only 300,000 years so far of human history. And so our infectious diseases had to come from somewhere. Where do they come from? They come from wildlife. They come from wild animals. They get into humans and they cause disease. Now, among other things, this reflects one of Charles Darwin's dark truths. In fact, I think of it as perhaps the darkest and most challenging of the truths that Charles Darwin revealed to the world, and that is that we humans ourselves are animals. We are animals evolved from a lineage of other primates. We're not separate from the natural world. We're not above it. We are part of it. And so we share a lot of things with other animals. One of the things that we share in some cases is their diseases. So, zoonotic diseases. COVID-19 is a zoonotic disease. It's caused by a virus that was never before seen in humans until December of last year. And we know it had to come from somewhere. As I said, everything comes from somewhere. When a new disease appears in humans, let's talk about viruses, a new virus, we know that it must live in another host, some sort of a cellular animal, because viruses can only replicate inside the cells of other creatures. So viruses infect plants, animals, fungi, bacteria, and if a virus is capable of getting into humans and causing infections, then it probably comes from from an animal host. Now, the next term I want to talk about is reservoir host. Reservoir host. Reservoir host is the kind of creature, the kind of animal in which a virus lives inconspicuously, over the long term, without causing any noticeable disease. It has evolved a long-term relationship with a reservoir host, some kind of a species of animal, or maybe several closely related species of animals. Those are the reservoir host. Usually with viruses that spill over into humans, that means a kind of wildlife. Some viruses come from wildlife and pass through domestic livestock and then get into humans, but ultimately new viruses come from wildlife. Now, I've already mentioned the fourth term that I wanted to discuss, and that's the term spillover, the title of my book, Spillover. Spillover is the moment, the phenomenon, when a new infectious microbe, say a virus, passes from its natural animal host, its reservoir host, into its first human victim. That is the moment of spillover. Frequently, no one knows when that particular moment occurred, and a new disease is discovered sometime after the initial spillover has occurred, because the virus finds that it can pass from that first human victim to another victim, to another, to another. It causes an outbreak, a dozen or 24 cases of a new disease in some remote village in Africa, perhaps, or in a town in China. And it's impossible to track the original first case. But we do know that spillover happens because of opportunity. A virus has an opportunity to move from its natural host, its reservoir host, into humans. Why? Because humans come into close contact with wildlife. And some unlucky person is the one into whom that virus spills, the very first victim. So how do we come into contact with wildlife and offer wildlife's viruses the opportunity to get into us? Well, it might be hunting and killing animals, wild animals, for food. It might be trapping wild animals live in order to transport them to markets, so-called wet markets. It might be just a matter of mining bat guano in a cave to use for fertilizer. If people are shoveling up bat guano in a cave and the air becomes filled with the dust from this bat guano, that dust might carry the virus that had been excreted by the bats and can get into humans. Some form of close contact between humans and wildlife. I mentioned this COVID-19 pandemic is part of a pattern. Humans have always been coming into contact with wildlife, of course, for those 300,000 years of our history. We have been a hunter-gatherer species early in our history. And presumably we have been infected by viruses from animals throughout that time. But most of those zoonotic spillovers, most of those earlier cases of infection from wildlife viruses have gone unrecorded by history and undetected by science. More recently, in recent centuries, we know that there have been spillovers of both viruses, bacteria, and other pathogens that have caused human disease, even human pandemic. The Black Plague of the 14th century, which punished Europe so bitterly. Italy, France, losing a third to a half of their population. That was caused by a bacterium, the bubonic plague, Yersinia pestis microbe, passing from rodents through fleas, getting into humans. The 1918 influenza was a viral pandemic that killed, by some estimates, around 50 million people around the world. But more recently, just within the last 6 or 7 decades, we have seen an increasing frequency of spillovers of new viruses in particular from wildlife into humans. a drumbeat of these cases. And I would trace that back to 1961, Machupo virus spilling over from rodents into humans in Bolivia, causing something called Bolivian hemorrhagic fever. 1967, the Marburg virus was carried by monkeys sent north from Uganda to Marburg in Germany to a medical research lab. The monkeys were carrying a new virus that killed a number of people in that research lab. Marburg was a relative of Ebola virus, another very dangerous virus that made its first appearance in 1976 in the Democratic Republic of the Congo, or as it was then, Zaire. 1981, the first recognition of HIV, the pandemic strain of HIV causing the AIDS pandemic. That's a much more complicated story, and I tell it in my book Spillover. The HIV pandemic strain of the virus had been in humans for decades before that, simmering, moving slowly, but it was only 1981 that it was recognized as a new disease caused by a virus that had spilled over from one chimpanzee into one human. We know this now from retrospective molecular research. HIV had spilled over from one chimpanzee into one human back around 1908, give or take a margin of error, in southeastern Cameroon. But it was 1981 when we recognized this. 1993 in the US, there was a new virus coming from rodents also, now known as Sin Nombre virus, one of the hantaviruses. 1994, Hendra virus, spilling over from bats, moving through racehorses and getting into the humans who take care of racehorses in the area of Brisbane, Australia. 1998, Nipah virus, again spilling over from bats, getting into humans in Malaysia, killing a number of people, a very lethal virus, Nipah virus. 1997, the year before that, was avian flu coming out of Hong Kong. 1999, West Nile virus started to appear in the suburbs of New York City, an African virus that had been transported to the New World and was recognized anew as a serious problem in my country. 2003, SARS, what we now call SARS-1, SARS coronavirus coming out of southern China, again, spilling over from bats, getting into humans, spreading from the Hong Kong airport to Toronto, to Beijing, to Bangkok, to Singapore, and to Toronto, and killing 1 in every 10 people it infected. Fortunately, we stopped SARS-1. 2012, Zika virus. 2012, MERS, another coronavirus, spilling over from bats through camels into humans on the Arabian Peninsula, again with a high kill rate. 2015, Zika virus. And now, 2019, 2020, we have a virus that's known formally as SARS-CoV-2, or SARS number 2, causing the COVID-19 pandemic. All of these things are part of a pattern that involve things that we humans have been doing. What have we been doing? Well, not just killing and eating wild animals, but disrupting wild ecosystems, the great wild ecosystems, tropical forests and other ecosystems in which so many different species of animals live, and most or all of those animals carry multiple unique kinds of viruses. We live in a world of viruses. There are viruses infecting every kind of animal on the planet, viruses infecting plants, viruses infecting bacteria. So we humans, increasingly, with our deforestation, going into wild ecosystems, cutting, burning, taking out timber, killing and eating the wild animals that are there, establishing timber camps, establishing mines and mining camps filled with workers, bringing people into close contact with the wild animals that carry these new viruses. That has been the first of 2 factors that have caused this vastly increasing jeopardy of pandemic, of zoonotic diseases sweeping around the world. Disruption, ecological disruption, the demands that we make upon the rest of the natural world. Now think about it. This is not just something that is caused by people wanting to eat bats in China or porcupines or pangolins in China, or people eating bushmeat in Africa. This is something for which we all bear a share of responsibility. Every choice that we make, what we eat, what we wear, what we buy, what we consume, how much fossil fuel we burn, how much we travel, how many children we have if we choose to have children, all of those choices add to the environmental footprint that we humans, individually and collectively, put upon the natural world, the rest of the natural world, because we too are part of the natural world. So all of those choices we make draw resources from the natural world to us humans, us 7.8 billion humans. And in doing that, we draw the viruses, the strange new viruses that live in wild animals, we draw those closer to ourselves also. And we give those viruses the opportunity to spill from an animal that may be an endangered species. It may be headed toward extinction, God forbid. If that virus seizes the opportunity and spills over into humans, that virus has won the sweepstakes. That virus has been very lucky and now opened a door to great success. Instead of being a virus that infects an endangered species, it's a virus that infects the most dominant and one of the most abundant animals on the planet, certainly the most abundant large-bodied animal on the planet, Homo sapiens. So that's what happens when we give opportunity to viruses by disruption. But the other factor is connectivity. We are now so connected, all 7.8 billion of us. We live in dense aggregations in big cities. We travel constantly and very quickly by airplane, so that if a virus gets into humans and finds that it can replicate in the human body, and then perhaps through a little bit more evolution finds that it can transmit from one human to another, it can transmit on a cough or a sneeze or a song sung in a choir or even on a spoken word. If it finds that it can transmit that way, then it can circle the world at the speed of an airplane, which is what the first SARS did, and it's what SARS-2 has been doing, causing the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, we have had warning that this was coming. And I mentioned some of those warnings in my book back in 2012, 2014. Not because I was prescient, but because I was listening to astute scientists, and they could tell that there was a pandemic coming. And I asked them, if there is a big pandemic coming, what will it look like? And back then, 10 years ago, when I was researching spillover, scientists said to me, the consensus of what they said to me was, yes, there is, unfortunately, a pandemic coming, a next big one. They couldn't say exactly when, but they could say other things about it. Yes, it will be caused by a virus. What kind of a virus? Well, some sort of a virus that's fairly adaptive and has a history of infecting humans. For instance, an influenza virus or a coronavirus, they told me. Where would this virus come from? It would come from a wild animal. What kind of a wild animal? Well, very possibly another primate or a bat, because bats carry many of these viruses. Where would the spillover happen? Where would the opportunity occur? Well, somewhere where humans come into close disruptive contact with wild animals, possibly in a hunting situation in Africa, or at a wet market or near a wet market. For instance, where? Well, possibly in China. All of this was foretold 10 years ago. All of this was known by the scientists, by the public health officials, and warnings were given to the political leaders, and political leaders did not choose to spend the money and the political resources to prepare us. So we now have the COVID-19 pandemic. We have several tasks. We should not despair. Our first task is to control COVID-19. And we have the science, we have the technology. If we have the political will, and if we can cooperate one nation with another, developing vaccines, developing therapeutics, we can end this pandemic. But we should remember that 5 minutes after we feel like we have control over this pandemic, we should start preparing for the next one, because this is not the end. As long as humans disrupt the natural world, there will be spillovers, and as long as there are spillovers, there is a chance that a spillover will turn into a larger outbreak. An outbreak will lead to an epidemic may lead to a pandemic. So we must get ready for the next one. We can do this because we are smarter than viruses. We have science, we have technology, we have flexibility of human behavior, we are adaptable, and we have education. We have environmental education. We can learn. We can adapt. We can be wise as well as smart. And that's something that viruses can't do. The only question that remains, my friends, is whether we will. And with your work, and the work of many writers such as myself, and many wonderful scientists, we can do this. We can do this. But we have to have the will, and we have to act. Again, grazie mille. Thank you so very much for the honor of the Earth Prize International, and I wish you all a good day, a good evening. Again, I wish I could be with you, and best of luck with your very important work.